Hello and welcome to nicu&u. I'm Bell Stevenson and this is the podcast where we are making sense of the NICU journey, one conversation at a time. Today's episode is part of our ongoing conversation around perinatal mental health, the lived experiences, support, education and shared understanding, and I'm really grateful that you're here with us. So just before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps us reach and support more parents in their NICU journey. Also, can I say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Salento and Meritcom in Strabane. Both Salento and Meritcom support nicu&u and are great supporters of the One Day at a Time project. And we're delighted to have their support for this episode today. You can find out more at nicu&u.co.uk. Our guest today is a minister, Andrea Cotter, who has overcome her own personal challenges in her life, shaping her compassionate approach to pastoral care. She supports families in hospitals and in the community, and often in situations of illness, uncertainty or bereavement, walking alongside parents in some of their most difficult moments. We're having this conversation today, not just because it matters to us, but also for anyone listening out there who may be going through something difficult like this right now. Andrea, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Belle.
So if we can just start off with how you relate to the nicu&u, the One Day at a Time project. What attracted you to it, or why are you pulled to it?
I think it's really important that we support parents at a difficult time in their lives and something maybe is so unexpected for them. And I suppose because I have been a prem baby, it is something that I've always looked to and focused on. I was born, I'm a twin. I was born, my sister and I were both born at 31 weeks, so we were 9 weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I've always wanted to support and to say that it's, the good things that come from being a prem, that it doesn't always have to be a difficult negative experience, I don't think it ever held me back in any way.
Right, okay.
And I think it's really been formational for me.
Mm-hmm.
In that regard, So yes, I do think it's been a positive experience.
Okay. And can you tell us a bit about your work as a minister, in supporting families?
Well, I suppose it's just coming alongside families and just getting to know them, and those families that come to church or in my parish, and sometimes maybe it is the situation that you only see them when there are difficulties or they are experiencing difficult times. So it really is just coming alongside them, trying to get to know them. I really try to know everybody who comes out to church. I try to get to know all of our children's names and who they belong to. And in the 2 years I've been in Patrick and Dunlung, I've really made it my focus to promote family within our parishes.
And you'd encourage them to speak out and reach out for
yes, of
help
course,
and support
if they need that. Yes.
So how has your own personal challenges influenced your approach to pastoral care? So anything in your own personal life that has influenced how you...
I suppose, being a prem baby, so, you start off on that journey and you have a very different journey rather than, and I suppose just my mummy and when you're born at 31 weeks and you spend 6 weeks in hospital, my sister spent 3 weeks in hospital, you just... it's difficult, my mummy was very calm, she was a nurse, so she knew all of the ways to improve things and to encourage us. And I suppose being a prem baby just really, you know what difficulties people face and what has happened. And then I suppose just throughout your life, I've lost both my mummy and my daddy at a very early age. I was only 23 when my daddy died and 26 when mummy died. And they both had cancer. And just that was a really difficult period in my life and in our family life because we were a very close family. And so that has shaped pastoral care and what I experienced during that time through the work of the church and ministers and the encouragement and the support of people really does shift your focus to pastor in a different way, I think.
And if I may just go back there to, you said about the miscarriages.
Yes.
If I could just ask, at that time, did you get support? At that time, was there support for you?
I don't think there was support. No. Maybe even not, I was in a different church family, and maybe I didn't speak about it enough. I don't know. Maybe I didn't make it clear to people And I do remember the minister called one day, and I was in the back garden and never got to see. He never came back again, you know. But I don't think there's enough support. I even think in the hospital there wasn't that support. It didn't seem to matter to people. It was just very routine. You know, you go one Friday and you hear that your baby isn't growing or isn't where it should be, and you're having to go back the next 2 weeks later. And you go back and the staff says, "What are you here for?" You know, it's just it wasn't a good experience, and there was no support offered afterwards either. So that was difficult, and I suppose that shapes how you want to treat other people and how the experience you want to give other people if they are going through those same kind of traumatic issues and times.
Yeah, and that is part of the perinatal period.
Yeah.
You know, pregnancy right through to that baby's a year old. And it's
Belle,
really, really important, obviously, if the mother to be mental health is really, really bad. You know, that's probably the start of it, where they should maybe be looking more and acknowledging and telling more stories and listening more. Yeah.
Yeah, just I didn't feel there was the support there from GPs, doctors. I felt if you had to go and look for your own support, you had to find your own ways. And sometimes whenever you're in those situations, it's really difficult to do that. It's really difficult to know where to go and to reach out to people. And I think that's where faith really helped me, because in those moments, sitting alone on the chair or your settee or whatever, when there's nobody else with you, there was one person that was with me, and that was God. And he reached out, and, you know, I could just say, this is really terrible, you know, this is awful what's happened to me, but I knew he was with me in that moment. And I think that was really one of the reasons why I decided to go and pursue my calling, which I maybe had put it on the back burner for a long while. I hadn't wanted to I'd resisted it for so long, Belle.
Yeah.
And I think it was just one of the catalysts that made me want to go and offer myself for that role and that and just pursue the calling that I'd had since I was a little girl.
And like now, when you visit parents or you deal with parents, you know, that have been through that, you know, what support do you give them? Is that based on your personal?
It's based
life
on my experience, and sometimes I think it's just saying, I know what this is like, just to have an idea of what they're going through. And everybody's journey is different. Everybody feels differently. But at the same time, there still is an awareness of the kind of feelings that they're feeling and the kind of sadness or joy or whatever. And so you bring your personal experience, you bring you to that role.
Some empathy.
You really bring empathy, but I think you bring what...
Part of you
to that situation and to every situation you go into.
Yeah.
And I think it does give you those skills of empathy and those skills of compassion and care, but you're bringing yourself to that role. And it might be different to somebody else, but it's just being open to whatever you're going to find when you go in through that door or you go into that hospital ward or whatever. And it's just, sometimes you don't know, and you just go with your faith and with God behind you, I think.
So if you did go into the hospital and somebody had just received really devastating news, the worst, you know, how do you support that person when there's no answers? When there's no answers, and I'm sure you're faced with many as a person saying, why me? Why my baby? Why me? What do you say to someone? How do you support someone going through that?
I think sometimes it's just really important not to say anything, just to sit with that person. And sometimes I have little resources, you know, that helps in the loss of a baby. I have a little book that'll explain to maybe other family members what's going to happen now with the process of funerals and stuff. And, I have little prayer cards, and you try to take something with you that they can hold on to, and because it's those moments that all of those little things are precious to them, and a way to help them understand. So if somebody's had a baby that's died and they have other children, I have a few books that I can take, and they can explain what's going to happen with a funeral and all of those different kinds of things, what's going to happen in a funeral home, what's going to happen. And those have been really helpful for people to
like social stories as such.
Well, it's just little stories of maybe your granddad's died or your somebody's died, and it's just a little book to say what happens, and just so that you can prepare them for what's going to happen, because sometimes in our society today, people don't know what happens in church. This might be the first time they've ever come into a church or ever had to organise this kind of service or whatever. So it's just really leading them through that and just talking them through that and just leaving those little resources. They can look at it whenever they're ready. And also I would always say to them, you know, I will leave that with you and you keep that, because you mightn't you might need that now, but you might need that in 6 months or 9 months because you might want to revisit this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Um,
So regardless of belief, you support all families.
all families.
And faith looks different to everybody, but
Faith looks
regardless of that, you're there and you help.
If anybody asks for my help, then I will try to support them as best I can along that journey.
So how would you encourage people to continue to support grieving families?
I think it's just the small things. I think it's things like bring them along some kind of meals, or don't ask them what they want. Don't presume you know what they want, but just if you're in a shop, lift another loaf of bread and a pint of milk. Bring them along dinner. Maybe give them a little voucher to go somewhere to have a little day out. Just random little thoughts of kindness that you're not asking them, because sometimes they don't even know what they need. They don't even know what way they are going to feel from one second to the next. And so it's just those little things to support them, to sit with them, not to avoid them, not to cross over the street or not to go down a different aisle in the shop, to just offer your support and just sometimes to say,
acknowledge them.
I know you're really having a really hard time and I can't fix that for you, but I can be there for you, and I will do what you want me to do, and and not presume that you need this or you want that, but just little acts of kindness that just show you care.
And being a presence.
Being a presence in their lives.
And holding space for them.
So
when it comes to neonatal then, you do visit in the neonatal, don't you?
If that's required, sometimes
you're asked.
Yeah.
Have you any personal fears of neonatal, or when you're in the environment, is there anything that would trigger anything in you, when you're in the environment?
I don't think so. I always think I have to be the person that's in control of that situation, And it is difficult going into hospitals. It is difficult because you never know what you're going to find. Even if you know a family really well, news can change and situations can change, and you just don't know what you're going to find walking in through any hospital door or any home, really. So you just always have to be prepared for that. It is a strange place. It's a place that maybe makes you feel a bit decombobulated. When people are going through a really hard time and you walk in and there's machines and monitors going, and maybe that's just not natural to you. But I think you just have to just be, again, that presence there and just go in and offer some words of comfort and maybe scripture and little prayer cards and prayers, and just to know that you're there for them. But it can be difficult, and it is an alien environment for some people.
Yeah. I suppose that leads on to as well the thought that, you're there and you've been through a lot yourself, and you're trying to help others because of these life experiences. Selfless things to do, but when it comes to it, all those visits that you're making and all those people that you're supporting and trying to be there for, how do you care for yourself while supporting them? How do you look after your own mental health to carry you through to be what you want to be for others?
I think that's just support from your family and your friends, and talking about it, not bottling it up. I have a very good support network behind me, and I think that's really important. And I think it is important to take time out for what you enjoy to do too, whether that's just going for a walk or reading a book or going and getting your nails done. All of those things to take time just for you in that situation. And there are seasons where it is difficult. There is, seasons where you really do see a lot of sadness and pain and grief. Just a few weeks ago, I had 4 funerals in 8 days, and that's just, you're just on the treadmill, aren't you, of just going from one person to the other. And as much as you want to do that, sometimes you just have to look after yourself and be whenever you can, take that break, and just take a period to rest and just to go out or meet with somebody for a coffee or whatever. There's just, you just have to be really mindful of yourself, I think, and looking after yourself.
Yeah. There's been quite a few parents would have been through quite a lot of difficult situations, and currently would be going through a lot of difficult situations in the neonatal unit right now. What would you say to those parents and any supporters that are listening? What words of comfort, what would your advice be to those parents right now?
I think it would just take each second at a time. Don't look too far ahead. Just look for those support networks in the hospital, outside the hospital. Reach out to your local church. You mightn't have went to church, or you mightn't have that faith, but you might have a connection through maybe GB or school or whatever. Just look for those people who are going to help you, or who you think you need at that time. And just take time. Just live each moment. Don't be looking too far ahead. Don't be thinking what's going to happen next week or next month or wherever we're going to be. Just live in the situation you find yourself in and deal with whatever hits you or comes across that day.
And ask.
And always ask for help, because there's always somebody that will help you or will be able to pinpoint you to a person or something, or an organisation that can help you.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think is coming across too, that parents are afraid to ask because it's either they're being an inconvenience, or they're like showing themselves as being not knowing enough. There's this like fear of asking, where asking needs to be done because that could help the situation if they ask. And I know we don't have all the answers, and it's maybe about nursing staff reaching in as opposed to the patient reaching out, or the parent.
But I think it is okay to ask. I think it's okay always to say you don't know. I don't have the answer to this, but somebody else might have the answer to that, and somebody else might have been in that situation for you. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about the church. I'm so passionate about people coming in the church to get to know each other, to get to know each person's situation, to get to know your story, because there are situations where you don't know what to do, but somebody in that congregation might have walked that path before you.
They've been through it. And they can say what helped them. They can offer that support. They can just sit with you in that moment. And I think that's a really great thing about being a community of faith, that we get to know each other, and we get to travel with people on those difficult journeys, but on those great days too, when the baby will come to be baptised, or they will start Sunday school, or they will have their first day at school. All of those things that we look forward to, that we can be with them in the good moments, but we're also going to be with them in the sad moments too. Yeah. So all times. So I think, Andrea, that one thing that really stands out from this conversation today is that support doesn't require answers. It comes from presence, listening and compassion. Showing up, holding space and caring deeply can all make a profound difference. And I think what's important here also is remembering that you don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to do it alone. And it is a journey, one day at a time. So if this episode has resonated with you, please consider subscribing to nicu&u wherever you listen to podcasts. Leaving a review or sharing the episode really helps these conversations reach the people who need them most. You'll also find links in the show notes if you want more information or even just support. So a final thank you to Andrea and to Salento and Meritcom for supporting this episode and helping make these conversations possible. And to everyone listening, thank you for trusting us with your time and your stories. Whatever stage you're at, please remember, you don't have to do this alone. It is a journey, and it's one day at a time. This has been nicu&u with Bell Stevenson. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the nicu&u podcast with your host, Bell Stevenson, supported by Salento and Meritcom. Recorded at and produced by 9874 Creative.